Hello guys, welcome back to Pause and welcome back to Parkitect Build. This is part 8 and today we start on an adventure dark ride. We also do a little bit of work on a new walkway, cave area and coffee shop. So let's get straight into it and make a few enhancements on the queue line from the last episode. So previously on this build we have started work on our first themed area of our park. Now these episodes will come out weekly, sometimes you'll have 2 a week, but you'll always have at least one episode of this build series every week here on Pause Games. So we made a start on this adventure themed area, which is going to be the first themed area that you kind of are drawn to as you walk into the park down the main street. You hit the hub area where it's a little waterfront, you see the big volcano mountain in the middle, you head straight through the mountain and this is the area you are greeted with. Now I am using a very loose theme of adventure for this area, as it gives me the scope and the flexibility to add numerous different sub-themes within this area. Now I'm still waiting, I'm still thinking of a name, and I'm open to suggestions, so if anybody out there has any ideas for names for the area or any of the rides or shops that we have in this build, please let me know down below in the comments or send them to me any other way you want to, Twitter, email, whatever you want. All the details are down below, and then we will choose some of the best ones and have this a nice community park, as that is the aim for this build. So I just make a start with adding a few bits of texture to the ground, extra bits of grass. I try and make it a bit realistic by adding more tufts of grass around the bases of theming objects, for example, and sort of to the edges and the darker areas. As I'm going for a kind of realistic type feel to this park, as much as you can do with the limited pieces that we have in the game at the moment. So what I'm starting on here is a small walkway that is sort of just off to one side. It may not attract many people, however it's there as a little escape for the ones that want to explore. Now the best example of sort of inspiration from this, if you've ever been to Disneyland Paris, just around the kind of pirate area where Pirates of the Caribbean is, there's a kind of series of caves and like a couple of pirate ships and things like that, where there's loads of caves and steps and hidden areas where you can just walk through. They literally are just there as walkthroughs. There's no real reason for it, there's no queue line or anything, they are just pathways there. We have a few sound effects and sort of atmospheric lighting and things like that inside, and it's just one of those things, if you are wanting to explore around the park, then you will come across it and have a little wander in. So that is the kind of equivalent of what this area is here that I'm planning, and it does get blended in a little bit better with the view from this side, as obviously you've got the mountain and the rocks there. So each area will merge into one, but it will be a cohesive, is that the right word? Cohesive theme for each area, and that will all become clear as we get down the line. So there's the view from the hub. So like I said, it kind of fits in with the mountain range, as we've got the rocks at the side, with the rocks at the entrance, and there'll be some rocks on the left hand side of this as well to bring it all together. So you've got that kind of rocky mountain front with the big mountain in the centre. That's kind of what we're going for, and the rocks really work well to disguise in what you're doing. So from one side you're literally using the rocks as a theming element, and then from this angle where you're on the path you're using it for caves and an actual physical purpose of having it as shelter. So it works out quite well both ways, and it fills the gap. As before I started this build, I was kind of wondering what I'm going to fill the gaps with either side of the mountain to space the themes apart, and this gives a very clear distinction of themes. And obviously the ground colours and textures are going to play part of that as well, as this sort of sandy flooring will go up to the kind of back end of this structure I'm building here, to show a clear distinction. So it'll be grass one side, sand the other side, as I'm just starting work on now. So it's very clear where the adventure theme starts and ends. And that's kind of what we're doing here, just blending it in. You might have seen that little square bit that I had on the map. That was an error I did during the initial scenario building for this whole map that this theme park's built on, and I kind of left a tiny little bit of unobtainable land in the middle, so that's why I just added the rocks around that just to disguise it, and it gets it out of the way. So that's the kind of rocky area partially finished, so we're just adding a few more of these fences around. And because this is quite a secluded area, that's why we've gone for the single paths up here, as it's not going to have any rides or attractions in this area. Like I said, I put a coffee shop in the middle and a few benches, so I can't imagine that's going to be much of a draw of guests to really go up that path. People may not end up going in there anyway, however, it's there if they want to. So at first I toyed with the idea of using a vending machine. I was like, nope, doesn't work, we don't want that one. So coffee shop goes in, and we end up adding a little underground path to get into it. So the staff access path is underground, which links up with the other underground path that we put in the last episode. So this is where I'm just like trying to establish this underground base for staff, where we get like a lower level for all staff access. And I've sort of had a think since the last episode where I was kind of contemplating, why is there an option for no entry to certain staff using the signs, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I can literally just put the no entrance signs for staff at all the points between the employee paths and the guest paths. So the reason why that's useful is so I haven't got staff walking around the guest areas on the park, and that's what I think I'm going to do as time goes on. Now here, as you probably just saw, I messed up and I used the normal path when I first built this, so I just go through and quickly edit that out. I could have edited that out of the video, but you get to see it. Look at that, it's live. Well, it's not live, it was recorded last week, but the point stands. It's there. So yeah, we'll add more of these employee paths as time goes on. But yeah, generally this is what I'm gonna. This is my plan: is to have all the employee access underground and hidden away. So it's practical, and you haven't got just people carrying boxes full of like tampons or whatever people buy in theme parks through the guest areas, as we don't want that. Walt Disney wouldn't allow it, so why should I allow it in my fake theme park on the game that I'm playing, because I can't get Planet Coaster on my computer. But that's where we are, so don't worry about it. So I just sort of theme it in as much as I can with the rocks, just to blend it in a little bit better. Again, obviously, if this was a real park, it would literally be made out of rock. I would build it into the rockwork itself. The whole area would be nicely themed. Limitations with the game: it's early access. This is an alpha game, so shut up, stop going on about it. This is as much as I can do. So yeah, a little coffee shop. We had a few little plants and benches and that sort of thing in there. Kind of looks as though the video's lagging a bit here, but when I was playing it didn't. Must be the rendering. Not important. Anyway, so yeah, added some benches and some lights. What I did notice from checking the first person camera during this episode, I think a little bit more later on when I start on the new dark ride, is it does actually have lighting physics in this game. So if it's a dark area like now when it's raining and there's no lights or lampposts in the area, it will show as dark on the first person camera, which I thought was quite a good idea. I thought that's quite interesting to see that already in this early access game it's got lighting physics that knows when things should be dark in buildings. So it just shows you the level of detail that's already in this game. I mean, even from the beginning of this alpha, it's been quite ahead compared to other games that have come and gone of this kind of genre. And the fact it's such a small team making this game, I'm sure it's still only like 3 or 4 people that are doing everything. But it does show, because you can see the quality of this game. So what you may have just seen there, which I was talking a load of rubbish over, I was just setting some zones for my employees, mainly the haulers at the moment, just because they all walking around like a bit I'm tired, a bit grumpy. So I thought I'd just, each area that I build, I will set a specific set of haulers for that area. And each one will have its own staff room, so they can hang out in the staff room. All the stock will be delivered by these underground tunnels, so they don't have to walk all the way to the main depot at the park entrance to get it all. So I'm just trying to make it, like I say, as easy as possible. If this was a real park, I need to think about my staff as well. I need to think about their day and their engagement and making sure they're happy. So it's not just about the guests, it's about the staff as well. And it helps the fact that I do work at a theme park resort that I'm not going to name, but I do work at a resort. So it's good to have that kind of back of my mind knowledge of what actually happens in the behind the scenes of theme parks. Anywho, so like I said in the last one, I wasn't happy with how the way the sort of trees looked so unnatural around this little pathway. I was going to blend it in and extend the building out, but I thought, nah, I'll give them a little bit, at least an outdoor view. Again, think about the staff morale. And that's why I was checking the camera, and it looks better with the rocks. And again, because you can see the rocks through the trees, it gives you that other level of depth. As you're immersed in this area, I want rocks all the way around you. So it gives you that feeling that you want in the middle of the adventure, or whatever we're going to call this area. But at the moment it's just the adventure. So we move on to the next ride. So I was sat here thinking, what do I want? Do I want a coaster? Do I want a dark ride? Do I want what do I want? So what we decided on is a dark ride / themed ride. It's hard to explain what I'm going for with this. So the underground sections that you can see me building now are going to be the dark ride sections of this ride. The outside areas are independent areas that are going to be fenced off and very secluded, so you can only see them from the ride, but they are going to follow the same theme as what the ride would be. Now I'm trying to think of something that I can compare this to that exists in this country, and I don't think there's much. There's a few around Europe, like you have like rapids rides, which have a kind of one cohesive theme with outdoor sections, indoor dark ride sections. I can't think of anything really in this country that's similar, but that's what we're going for. So I kind of flattened a bit of the land out. This ride is nowhere near finished, by the way. By the end of the video, I just get the shell in, the layout is in. I get the station building almost finished, and I kind of block off a few of the areas of the ride where you can see the shape and what I'm going for. The actual theme at the moment is going to be kind of unfinished, as I don't have the pieces in the game to really do what I'm envisioning. I mean, ideally I want it to be maybe like a kind of safari type, like a let me say, Jungle Cruise at Disney is not what I was thinking of at the time, but kind of now watching it back, that style of attraction. So it may have some kind of narration or a storyline spoken to you through audio or something like that as you walking, floating around, going through some scenes. It could go through history, it could be through dinosaurs up to the modern day. I don't know just yet, but because I don't have those pretty much any pieces in the game. So it's going to be quite a generic dark ride for the time being, with the future plan of, once I've got some more themes, theme this ride a little bit better. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but that's the best I can do while we're still in early access and we're still waiting for more themes. So the station area is all indoors, and I was going for a kind of indoor-outdoor theme. Again, this is not going to make any sense. Universal Studios, there's a ride called, based on the film E.T. So E.T. the extraterrestrial, and the queue line kind of starts in some videos about the films and shows you some like cast interviews and that kind of stuff, and then you get into the immersive area of the last bit of queue and the station, which is like a wood. You're walking through like a forest, like a wooden area. You've got kind of like bark on the floor and massive fake trees that kind of make you feel like you are actually outdoors. On a kind of scaled back version of that is what I'm going for with the station to this. Again, it's immersive, but it's indoors and controllable. So the lighting, if this was a real park, the lighting's controllable, so you always can choose the time of day it is. You can light up specific areas, you can have animatronics in there, actors if you want. You can control the scenes. And that's the reason why this is an indoor station. And they just make more sense. Like I said, I kind of alluded in the last episode, this area of the park is my equivalent to Fantasyland at Disney Park. And a lot of their rides in Fantasyland are your kind of indoor dark rides. So your Peter Pan, your Snow White, your Winnie the Pooh, so on and so forth. Those indoor rides, where they're all a bit similar. They're kind of mainly track rides. You get an indoor little station, into the dark ride and back out again. And this is my equivalent of that. And again, I'm not copying like for like of rides. That's why I'm using the little water ride, and I'm having some outdoor areas. So I'm not just copying what Disney have done. I'm just taking influence from the layouts and sort of typical ideas, but putting my own spin and theming on it. So that's what I'm doing just here. So I kind of make a little bit of a queue line, a little bit of an exit path, and then bring it all together with a slight outdoor queue. And I think I throw in a few mushrooms as well, just to sort of hint at a little theme for now. And then we'll see what happens in the next one. And I am anticipating Alpha 16 to drop within the next sort of couple of weeks. And I'm not saying that there's going to be a theme on that can apply to this ride, but you never know. There probably is going to be some new theming pieces in the next update. We have seen a couple of teasers of bits of art that they are working on. And there's always something new every time they update the alphas. So hopefully there will be some nice new pieces I can work with. But I understand they are still working on the actual core game at the moment. The theming pieces is just something that is an added bonus that they will keep adding things to down the line. I know they will. And like I said, it is a small team. I appreciate it's a small team, but I am still loving this game, and already the things you can do with it. And I'm not saying I'm going to be the greatest ever person at Parkitect. I know I'm not. There's far better people out there with these kind of games. I'm very basic with my level of design skill. I mean, I think I'm more imagination than skill with this sort of thing. That in my mind things sound good, then the execution isn't always the best, but it's a learning curve. I mean, this is the first time I've actually used this park to build a theme park on. Use this game to build a theme park on. I've only ever done little things, tested it out, and as you've seen on the channel, I've only ever done update videos to see what's new. As it is getting to the stage now where we can start putting in themes and rides. That's why we did start this build series when I did. So we're just putting the final touches now onto the station so far. I do finish this building off once this is all in, put the walls in, put a bit of roof on, to try and see. This is what I'm going for, like a kind of indoor-outdoor theme, which again I know is not a real thing, but that's what I'm going for. So we start putting the walls on, and then I kind of decide, what do I want the exit and entrance path to be. I know I want it to be separate, but how do I space it out? So I did make a little change to that in a minute. I'm still toying with the idea of having this whole ride in a building, but I'm not sure yet, because I don't have... Again, it does limit me with the pieces I've got of theming. If this was going to be a grand facade dark ride, I need to be able to theme it well enough to not see the warehouse at the back, and I don't think at the moment I have the pieces in the game to do that. Even these building pieces I'm using, this is one of the download... is it one of the mods? Yeah, it's one of the mods that I added into the game, these kind of wooden pieces, which has got some nice parts and elements and pieces in the game in this this pack, but I'm still limited with exactly what I can make. So I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it comes over in the next episode, and we'll have a little play and decide whether it's going to be indoor or outdoor dark ride. But for now, the shell's there, the station's in, the queue line's in, the track's in, and we just need to finish off everything else. So the important bit we need to finish off. But that's fine. And this is what I was on about, look, when it's dark and there's no lights in the station, it is dark. And that's brilliant that that's been planned in already, that it knows it's inside a building and it knows it should be dark. That's great. I mean, even some of the old Roller Coaster Tycoons I don't think were that clever. I mean, Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which is a piece of shit game, which I did say I was never even going to speak of on the channel. I don't think it even does lighting as well as this, and this is an early access game. So it just shows what level of detail these guys are really putting into this, and that's why I'm supporting this game all the way, because it's absolutely brilliant. Anywho, that brings us sort of to the end of today's episode. So we've done a couple of new things, new pieces, and new ride, and again the basics are all there. It's going to be a slow build, and I apologise for that. People might want really quick build episodes, but these are slow and I want them to be. So that's where we're going to leave it today. If you do have any suggestions or anything to add, any questions, any comments, any improvements you think we could make, then please let us know down below. Give us some comments, send us some emails, let me know on Twitter, give us some help, as that's what I need. And I will see you guys in the next episode when we do more Parkitect Build. Thank you, bye.